I've been saying this for a while, at least a year, maybe longer. It's people are under this misconception that we're approaching tyranny. We're not approaching anything. We're in tyranny.
Yeah.
We're in tyranny.
We're checking in with Gus Demos of Perpetual Assets. Gus, where are you located today?
Today, I just got back to the States last night from El Salvador. We were in El Salvador for a week. I got in and I drove landed in Miami, and I drove straight to Naples. And they were kind enough, the rental car company was kind enough to give me a little piece of shit Chevy Jolt, an electronic car which barely made it here. So I was on the car was warning me the last 10 miles of the trip, battery about to die, battery about to die, battery about to die. So thank you, World Economic Forum, for even after an international trip, they can't let you get home okay without trying to plug you full of some nonsense.
Are there chargers along the way? What do you do if that thing runs out?
I don't know. I don't know how familiar you are with Florida, but from Miami to Naples or vice versa, it's Alligator Alley. It's where all the alligators are, and swamp area, and all the pythons that have recently infested the area and whatever. So for about 100 miles, there's absolutely nothing. There's a casino about halfway, between the two towns in Immokalee. But it's hilarious to me that the rental car company knows you're picking up in Miami and dropping off in Naples for one day, and then they give you this little piece of shit with by the way, and I'll watch how much I slander the GM on this, but even the mileage estimates are complete bullshit. Like, so you turn on the car, it says you have 250 miles, and I know it's a 120-mile trip, and by the time you get going, and if they're going 80 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour, the battery numbers are all bullshit, and the car starts warning. It was just a total nightmare, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, are you really gonna? They don't have.
You had no choice in the matter. They said this is the car you're going to get.
By the time, man, Dick, nothing makes me really angrier, if I'm being honest. By the time you get through immigration, and then get your luggage and get the car, that's almost as long as the flight itself. That could be a 2.5 hour ordeal. And I'm telling people, a lot of things in our current environment the last 4 years make me irate, but nothing makes me more irate than the charade of the immigration line for U.S. citizens entering U.S. cities. So you're coming into Miami, you're coming into Houston, you're coming into L.A., and they stick you in this line for an hour or two because you're their tax cattle. They're letting 200,000, Honduras welfare queens in through Texas every month, no problem. But they're tax cattle. They got to pretend like we're all Pablo Escobar or Osama bin Laden or whatever. So I got to wade through this whole charade and have this dummy ask me how much cash I have on me when I finally get to the front of the line. And so think about that for a minute. Their own citizens come back to their country and they make us wait like dummies in this line while they're hoisting welfare queens over the border in Texas, hundreds of thousands.
By the millions, with no check. They're handing them debit cards and cell phones, free medical care, putting them up in hotels.
Like I always say, I almost don't mind the scam. I almost don't mind the tyranny. Just don't ask me to take it serious. Don't ask me not to call it a scam. Don't ask me not to call it tyranny. It's laughable. And are you in a good mood after a flight and want to really wait in this whole bullshit line, which is bullshit anyway? And and Will harasses me. I'll just get global entry. I'm like, yeah, I could, but like, why? Like, do I really need to piss in a cup and give these guys my DNA? I'm already paying them taxes every year. Like, do I really need to kiss their ass to come back here? Like, it's insane. It's insane how it's, and I guess kind of I don't know if you agree or not, but I think one of the greatest gifts of really talented comedians is being able to it doesn't matter if it's Seinfeld or George Carlin or Chris Rock or Chappelle or whoever, their ability to spot completely illogical things in everyday life
and point them out.
And point them out with humor. And I don't obviously have anywhere near the humor they do, but I'm pretty good at spotting things that just don't make any sense. And us waiting in line to come back here while they're just, letting people walk in it's insane. It's insane. It's idiotic. It's
yeah. You and I are both cursed with a quality is like when somebody tells you to do something, it's like, why?
Yes.
Why do I need to do that? This is utterly absurd. This is utterly pointless. And you're just flaunting your authority over me.
Make it make sense.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like the meme is make it make sense or whatever, and it's like just explain this. And we could look back on many things like that the last 4 years, especially between whatever all the different types of tyranny, from them burning cities to the COVID to the COVID tyranny, etc. And yeah, whenever I see a contradiction, including like a Denver mayor tweeting from the airport on Thanksgiving, telling you not to leave while he's getting on a flight, leaving and saying don't leave your house, or Lori Lightfoot at the salon while we're caged in like idiots. Like, so yeah, we could spot BS, and I don't know if it's a mechanism of growing up a certain way or you're born, but yeah, it's and again, I'm from Chicago, and so I kind of grew up around pimps and hustlers and racetrack guys, and I grew up around all this stuff. So I kind of but it's different when it's different when it's so blatant. I think even me and you, when we were younger, like we always were fed certain levels of whatever propaganda or BS or whatever.
We're old enough to remember when you could go get on a plane. Like I had a friend who moved to Hawaii. He had a friend that said, "Hey, I got a ticket to Hawaii I'm not going to use. Do you want it?" And he gave it to him. So you could just go get on a plane with a ticket. They didn't shake you down. You didn't need to go through security, show your ID. You just went and handed the ticket and got on the plane.
Even smoking on a plane. Like you used to be able to smoke on a plane. It used to be very pleasant to be on a plane. People used to be able to escort you to the gate and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's all these things that, they call it whatever. A lot of people refer to it as the boiling frog. Like you don't realize just how these kids who are under 25, they have no idea what the country looked like before 9/11.
Not a clue. Yeah.
Just something.
They just accept all this stuff as normal.
It's normalized. Yes, you're born into this, and you don't know it used to be a lot different. And I guess that's what makes it. I think that's why some of us who are older kind of spot it faster and are like, wait a minute, this is, and it's, again, it's, so going back to the original question, it's been a crazy a week and a crazy 24 hours.
So you and Will are kind of on a quest to find free places to live. You're in Naples, Florida now, which is very Republican freedom oriented. And you've been in El Salvador. How's El Salvador?
There is no, I love it. And there is no perfect place. El Salvador is awesome beaches. Bitcoin is legal tender. Bukele might be the best president in the world right now. Mm-hmm. El Salvador it's not perfect. I like certain parts. I like big cities and I like restaurants and all that stuff. And San Salvador is not a metropolitan destination like a Rome or something or Buenos Aires. But no place, it's checking off all the right boxes, and it's heading Naples, Florida is the first kind of suburb I've lived in the last 25 years. And the only reason I'm even here is because after the election, 2020 election, I thought my theory, and I was dead wrong about this. After the election, I thought they were going to take their boots off our necks. I'm like, this whole thing.
Right.
I'm like, all right. I get it. They enslaved us for 9 months. They were trying to do this mail-in ballot gibberish. They burned cities down. All right, they scammed everything. Like they're gonna ease off on all this Karen yelling at you when you're eating a cheeseburger stuff, and they didn't. So I went on like this 8-week. I'm like, I'm gonna go. I was living in Las Vegas at the time on the Strip, like in a high rise, beautiful high rise right by Cosmo and Aria. And Vegas, let's just say Vegas had a rough year in 2020. It wasn't the Vegas I moved out there for. I moved to Vegas 6 weeks before COVID.
Oh, man. And it just got shut down.
I unpack my bags. I watch the Super Bowl. Friends come to visit. We're about to go to March Madness. You know, the reason I went out there as a bachelor, and the place shuts down. So I'm locked in this high rise for 9 months. And I'm much like many of us, I'm assuming yourself included, I'm very sensitive to being enslaved and freedom. So and we were making amazing money 2020 and 2021. We're in the apocalypse business. So if we're in crypto and gold and silver, and so 2020, 21, I'm working 14 hours a day. The phones didn't stop ringing. But success doesn't matter if you're caged in in your condo, drinking whiskey. Yeah, drinking whiskey in your underwear, staring out a window by yourself. So I went on this quest. I went to like 10 states in like 10 weeks: Utah, Wyoming, Arizona, Texas, Georgia. And my buddy's like, "You gotta come to the west side of Florida. It's right now. It's the freest place in America." And I'm like, I held off, and finally I'm like, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. And I flew into Tampa, and I drove down the entire Gulf Coast, 3 days in St. Pete's Clearwater, 3 days in Sarasota, 3 days in Fort Myers, 3 days. And when I got to Naples, it was like 2019. It was like there was nothing was shut down. Like you could almost, I'm going to tell people the most crazy thing in the world. You could almost see even the counties and cities and towns in Florida. You could almost see the percentage of mask wearers by the voting results. You could match the voting results to how much power Karens had in that town.
Yeah.
Like Sarasota is kind of purple, or it's 55-45 or something. And then you get it. And by the time you get to Naples, the voting results are like 75-20. And Naples was wide open. That's where CNBC even went into like seed to table. And the guy told them to piss off, get out of here. No one's wearing masks here if they don't want to. So Naples was like ground zero for freedom in the country. Deep red.
It was amazing how masks became a display of acquiescence. Like people were so proud to wear that mask. Like
it almost became,
I'm complying.
It almost became a jerk. It almost became a jerk.